Hey everyone, happy Thursday afternoon, and welcome to our September webinar. Many of you probably are aware I've been running these for about half a year now. Clarence Low, go ahead and put Suka is coming in. But yeah, please put your name, location, and company into chat. And we'd love to welcome our community of colleagues and professionals here. Really excited for today's webinar. It's a little bit different. I am couching it as a kitchen table conversation. It is, well, it's 5 p.m. somewhere, but Jim can appreciate that. But obviously, it's 4 o'clock East Coast, and Jim's out on the West Coast today. But really, it's an informal and just kind of a friendly conversation about what we're doing with SASE as an organization, our strategy and vision for as we step into, we are 4 weeks away from the STEM Connect National Convention in Pittsburgh. So a number of things we wanted to touch on related to the convention and our pro conference. So Jim, our programming guru, has got some information to share there. But I wanted to really take the opportunity to thank Tom Fernandez, our SASE board chair, Gigi Elbert, our interim CEO, and Jim Lee, our programming guru, for taking a little bit of time off today to for us to just kind of share and have. I got coconut water here, just to kind of go around and just share with our audience too, what we're doing and all the things that we're doing around our convention and why we're doing some of the things we're doing. So again, just wanted to thank Tom, Gigi, and Jim for that. And man, yeah, Tom, you and I were kind of talking about this a little earlier, right? We were talking about the theme, right? And and maybe we can share that out with this group, what that theme is, and what's so exciting, that I know you're going to be there, and why you are so excited to be there this year.
Well, I'm definitely going to be there. I'm really happy for us to return to Pittsburgh, the town that I got my education in for as a Carnegie Mellon grad. It is the home of our first SACE chapter, so very excited, Clarence, to go back to
Indeed,
Pittsburgh.
it is. Yeah.
Uh, our theme, Clarence, is Fuel Your Future. That's our conference theme. And this conference is exciting to me because it enables an individual the opportunity and an accountability to themselves to grow and grow their skills. And that's very exciting to me because it is at the end our responsibility. At the same time, we all know that people learn better together. And so I like those quiet moments that STEM Connect will offer, whether it's after a seminar or in the hallway, for us to get back together and reflect. And STEM Connect is designed to foster that discussion, and that helps us all learn together.
There's a couple of things I just picked up, Tom, right? Learning together and the theme of filling your future. I love hallway conversations, right? And the beauty of you never know who you're going to meet, right? Whether it's in industry, I sometimes use you peel away layers of the onion and building rapport, and we are more connected than we are not, right? And it's like you went to school here or you grew up there, right? And it's just absolutely amazing in terms of in the sessions that Jim will talk about in a moment, but that learning together piece I want to hang on to, okay? And then two is the theme. And Gigi, I'm gonna ask you, right? So I know that you had a hand in this. Our national convention team had a hand in this. Where did the Fuel Your Future come from? I mean, how did that develop into what we're doing these days?
It's
For
something that started a while ago, Clarence, and it seems like we're just not ready to let go of it because we're having so much fun with it. So we had last year the Spark kind of theme. And then we rolled into our volunteer summit, which is a leadership event we do for our year-round volunteers. And that was built also around a fire and campfire discussions and all sorts of fun things we did with the fire theme there. And then rolling to NC, um, the Fuel Your Future just was kind of a natural progression of this. And for those of you who don't know, we're working with an exciting new marketing agency, and they really love how that this campfire and sparks and glowing, all those things fit with our SASE fam really well. And they said, expect to keep it for next year because they've got more ideas to build on it even more. But for this year, I think it's really important because we're all facing a lot of unknowns this year. All of you may know, like SASE has definitely faced some big challenges this year, probably bigger than we have for many, many years. And so learning how to keep ourselves fueled and going as individuals is super important in the workplace, but also how our community is coming together and how we fuel each other to continue to be influential and resources both at work and inside our communities. So I just love this theme, and like I said, it's not going away. You're probably going to see another revolution of it as it matures into next year.
I can only imagine a campfire theme and s'mores. All right, all right.
Who doesn't love a
We
s'more?
should
Come
do
on.
s'mores. That would, yeah, that would be something else. Well, next year we'll be in Seattle, right? And so, maybe we can play around with some of those ideas around our community hub. You know, it's really interesting when we talk about, coming back to that learning together, Tom, right? And, one of the things, I mean, we've always, as academics and researchers, and going through college and so forth, it was always, academic textbook, right? Maybe some focus groups or work groups that we, work with together. But, in a professional setting, whether it's at corporate or small biz, Jim, I think you have talked about this and, in some of your, learning academies and things like that is, what the, philosophy and maybe some of the sciences behind learning together, right? And how that impacts and sticks with the stuff you hear, right? You want to talk about that a little bit, Jim?
Yeah, shared moments are so important for us to have an opportunity to talk about. And I know in STEM workplaces, maybe you're not in STEM, but your company is, or even let's say you are in STEM, we're often taught to be analytical, and sometimes we can live in our own heads a lot of times, and perception becomes reality. But what's really important when it comes to learning and growing, and more as you mature in your career, is the ability for us to have a lot more of a calibrated and collaborative mindset because we don't work alone. And especially if we're starting to lead other people, we need to know how other people think, not just so much having other people think like us. And in our environments that we have, one of the things that you hear are trainers giving you their own stories. And it should prompt you to think about your own times and your own stories. And in learning and development, what I've learned was that when you have shared stories, there are certain parts of the brain that get activated that may have been dormant for a while. And these shared experiences activate not only a certain part of the brain that create these coupling moments, but these coupling moments, and it's called the Venki part of the brain, release certain type of hormones that help you to feel more inspired and that you can do something together because you're not having to do things alone and feel burdened that you have to carry the load by yourself. And think about like your own shared moments of maybe workplace struggles or challenges with some coworkers or maybe problems that you're trying to solve. And sometimes we can get so focused in our heads that sometimes you can't see the forest between the trees. And what these environments that we're curating for us this year is very much geared towards specifically to allow you to share those stories, It's not going to be lectures where you're being talked to and talked at, but you're going to be surrounded by other people that are like-minded in similar situations for your career, that you'll be prompted with stories by the trainers to help activate those situations. And you feel like when you come to conference, not only are the challenges that you're facing possible to achieve, but you're going to be able to go back with stories that you can share with the people that you work with or the people that you work for, and be more collaborative in those type of instructional studies that you've had.
It feels a little bit like, earlier in the year where we had the Women's Leadership Conference back in April, we had a session or a breakout of focus. We call it focus circles, right, and ally circles right alongside of that. And it was basically a place where our moderators and our participants can kind of come together and really maybe talk about a particular challenge or topic, and then use that forum as a learning moment, right? And so I think about some of the other things that, like Rebecca Okamoto, who's coming in October, right, and presenting some of the things that she's doing with her cohort already this fall. But I also think about when you're able to articulate and really share and maybe be vulnerable, right? These kinds of moments, how that dovetails or even aligns with a company that's sponsoring, right, to say 20 odd professionals from their organization, how that helps ultimately not only themselves but the company's bottom line, right?
Yeah. I think when you look at all the topics that we have, and if you read through all the learning objectives, one of the things that'll be different is that each one of them will give you a statement on not only how this make you a better person in the job that you do, but how you'll now start being seen as a contributor to your own team, to your stakeholders and the people that you work for, as well as how that's going to move along with the company line. And for me, as a former executive of a company, and now having done leadership development for the past 10 years with some of the greatest companies in the world, I really understand what is it that the link would be between you, HR, as well as your company, and making sure that when they send you to SASE, there's a noticeable difference that will occur when you go back. And we want to really help you to even look at all the sessions that we're providing, have a conversation. I'll tell people the best person to figure out how to study for a test are the people that are going to grade the test, right? So if your manager is the one that has thoughts and ideas, and maybe they just haven't had the time to figure out in words what are some of the things that maybe you could do to become a better leader, or some of those growth areas are, is share the titles with them. Like, hey, I'm going to be going to the conference, and here are the tracks that we have. And, what are some of the things that you think I could really work on? And you could get behind in supporting me to go to this conference so I could be a better employee. And they'll have the language, and they'll see that this is not just going to be amazing for you as a participant. It's going to be amazing for the benefits that your manager will see because you went, and you're going to learn and why this is important to have for you. But it's also going to be able to see like how this is going to help contribute back to your company, because ultimately they're sponsoring you to be there. And that's what you're going to see, like a little bit of nuances that we made shifts on this year, that's going to take this to the next level and help you to not only achieve your career goals, but it's what your company really saw as a potential for you when they brought you on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it'll be very interesting. And I know that you and I and other members of our, pro team have been working on, not only curating our trainers, but their workshops, across the Thursday and Friday, right? Do you want to just touch on a couple of them, just to whet this audience's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, it's so hard to pick. I mean, I've got over 14 trainers coming in. We have over 33 topics that we're doing. And it's almost like you're asking me to pick my favorite child. But but I'll share with you a couple of things that maybe I think ubiquitous for everyone, but we kind of put them in certain tracks that I think would be really great. And just to give you back history, like as we're making these shifts, it's really not easy to have maybe every trainer adopt this type of a model. And so what I did was I worked with a lot of the trainers that have been around SASE for a long time. I've been training with SASE for the past 4 conferences. And I knew who were the ones that had the experience and have provided content that has really dramatically made those adjustments for the participants they had. So it wasn't a far stretch for them to make those tweaks that helped really the participants propel forward past conference. On top of that, a lot of you may know I'm on faculty with McKinsey and Company, and I've had some of the best trainers that have worked with me the past 5 years as well since I've been serving there, and I brought them here along with me as well. And some of the things that you'll see in titles that are really going to help not only attract you to kind of see what this is about, but also help you to understand like what is this going to do for you and for the business that you're being a part of, will probably be something that I'll highlight. So for example, one of my favorite coaches that I get a chance to work with is Eileen Chang. And she's providing a topic that talks about really understanding what are those traps that maybe being a high performance oriented employee can fall into. And we call these accidental diminishers. And it's great because I've actually we've trained this course together for the past 5 years. And I asked her, like, Eileen, can you bring this on for our participants? Because I think this can be really great. And it's almost like where in STEM specifically, we tend to be taught to be high outcome oriented with very low margin of error. And because of that, it almost drives that what we think and what we know becomes truth and really driving towards that execution. And it almost puts us to minimize ourselves to be a team leader. And it forces us into that individual contributor role. And I've heard over time and time again, like people say, well, I don't feel like my manager is looking to promote me because I'm so good at my job and what I do that if I get promoted, there's going to be a large gap in the company. And that's 100% true. But then how do you minimize that as being a plus to something that you can do at the same time, meaning drive for high outcome, but learn how to involve other people to journey along with you along the way so that you can now have more people in your team able to do these roles. And sure enough, they can't do it along the side. They can't do it as well as you would. But if you became their people leader, would they want to work with you, right? So we call these accidental diminishers. And that's something that Eileen's going to be talking about. And for a lot of you that feel like you're caught in this vicious cycle of being really good at what you do, but having a hard time for other people to see you as someone that is going to be just maybe an individual contributor, then this would be the workshop for you. And what's also great is each one of these trainers is also going to help you to take this home. So I know a lot of times, Clarence, we could come to a conference like SASE, and we've done this in the past where it's amazing. Like you feel so inspired to want to do something different. And then you come back home and then you kind of have this, what I call post-conference withdrawal symptoms. I get it every year, right? With some amazing people, amazing stories. Your adrenaline's running high, the endorphins are good, and all this oxytocin is like, man, I want to spend more time with these people. And what happens is now you're like, okay, now what, right? I need someone to walk with me. And so each one of these are going to have cohorts that are also driven. And what that is designed to do is continue to take this past the conference that, if this is something that you had from a trainer that really inspired you, and as you went through maybe 4 or 5 sessions, like, you know what? I really want to continue on with Eileen. I think she's got something great, and I just need someone to kind of walk with me a little bit. Well, we have a cohort available for you. And what SACE is going to do is curate these cohorts so that you can have, let's say, 4 or 5 sessions. Further on, you'll be with, again, 4 or 5 of your best buddies that you met over at the conference and come together and learn this competency and skill, which again is going to help you not only become a better employee for yourself, but imagine if you're not an accidental diminisher, how great that is that other people are going to feel engaged and involved and take ownership of the role that they're doing at the company. And as well as the business feels like now they have scaled up you as a leader and have other opportunities for you to grow in as the business expands as well. So that's just a simple example of like a specific title that we have that we brought in, and specifically how we're now moving this past just the conference and just the one-time classroom into something beyond that not only you can attend, but we love for you to share this with your manager, because your manager hopefully took the time to maybe curate which session they thought would be something that's important for you to learn. And then from that conversation that you can ask forward is like, hey, I really like to master this skill, and could you sponsor me to attend this cohort as well?
Well, that really speaks to, really underscores that whole, investment in the professional, right? That obviously not only helps, the businesses, P&L statement, but and their bottom line, but also that whole retention piece, right? And, a happy employee probably going to stay there a little longer, right?
Yeah.
Didn't I read some stat that, the average kind of, especially early career, they're there for like 3-5 years and then they're off to the next chapter, right? And, but I'm all equally impressed by those who have been there 15, 20, 30 years, right? And it's like, okay, there's something clicking here, right? So no, thank you for sharing a little bit of the insight, but, the other thing I think about, Jim, is, I was also on a call with an individual earlier this week, and he was saying, this is like my fourth conference that I'm going to, and I still remember the first one, and I think it actually was Pittsburgh, in 2019. He says, I found that place where I belong. I felt like I belong, right? And that's arguably one of the best things, right? It always warms my heart whenever I hear it, right? It's like, oh my goodness, right? We must be doing something right. When that sense of community and that sense of belonging is one that they feel, right? And they come back, right? They come back because they want to reconnect with the professionals they've met. They want to reconnect with some of the executives who are going to be there, right? And so they become our champions, right? And wherever their next chapter may be in their professional career, I like I said, I'm just heartwarmed by they want to bring SASE along, right? And with respect to the programming, we're actually, right, professional programs has been around for 5-6 years now, and we have grown it, right? And I think with your engagement, Jim, Tom, your support and all the things that Pro has been doing. Gigi has stepped in, and we were just joking about forests and trees earlier in a team call this morning. That the whole guiding principle of being able to formulate this thing and bring it together in 4 weeks, in the next 4 weeks, is just remarkable. So to be a part of that, to be a part of our shift in strategic vision, and maybe, Tom and Gigi, you can talk about kind of where our overarching goal is, in light of, like Gigi, you talked about some of the challenges we're facing this year, right? I still remember, some of the really early decks when I was part of SASE in 2019. We started with like 20 odd people, right, coming in, and now we're, it looks very different, right? So I'd love to hear your thoughts, Jim or Tom and Gigi, about kind of where we've been, where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, everything that we've ever dreamed for SASE is about adding value.
Yeah.
And as I reflect on SASE's first 17 years, which is what we're at now, I think about how we added value through the focus on collegiate growth. So the premise was that we as an organization could provide value to employers who are looking to scale recruiting and give them an easy way to do that. And growing our chapters, starting with Carnegie Mellon and then now leaping forward 17 years, we now have over 100 collegiate chapters and 35,000 students in those chapters currently that we add value to. And the reason is that these are student leaders who are learning and growing together through campus activities, through supporting each other, through this organization called SASE. And it's just really, really wonderful to see. And in October, 1,200 of those students will come for the programming in the days up to the career fair. And so they will learn through these intentional seminars that Jim is talking about, and you'll see that spark. You'll see that growth, and they will take it back to their chapters and they will share what's been learned. And I'm super excited about that. And as I think about the career fair, even more students will come in and we'll provide a fantastic value add to them too, because this year is shaping up to be a more difficult year in the economy, and we'll have students who are extra eager to go to the career fair, present their best selves, and find that internship and that full-time position at leading employers. And so I'm super excited for all of the companies that are coming because they're going to again find the top talent in the nation. So that investment in our first decade brings us to our current decade. So we're 7+ years into a focus on professional development. We heard a great deal from our companies that they wanted more focus on the employees that are currently in their companies to help them grow. And so now we're 7 years deep into that, and we have had great added value, as all of our surveys have said. And so we're going to continue that. And I'm very excited that we have over 100 companies that have joined our journey together. And we continue to grow that number of companies that find value in the product that we're offering. And, I think about all of the 18 million folks in the United States who are in STEM fields who can benefit from our conference, our STEM Connect, be it the event that we're having and then our year-round programming. There's a large audience that really can and does benefit from what we're doing. So I'm very excited about what we're doing on the professional development front that Jim outlined. And as we approach our third decade, which will start around the corner in 2027, you'll see an extra intentional integration of both that collegiate program in the first decade and the professional development as we add value through harmonizing. And I think what you're going to see is that you'll see extra skill development on the collegiate journey all the way into, so even as fundamental as resume writing. I just remember my first resume, needed a lot of work. And I just wish that there was an organization and a conference like STEM Connect that could have helped me. It really is I think a miracle that I got a job. And I'm really happy that 35,000 students at 100 universities are currently active in our chapters, and that number continues to grow because they'll get that coaching. They'll get that experienced ear to be reassured that they're on the right track, and they'll get the push about really, have you thought about this? And they'll grow as well. And so our journey will help not only the collegiate student entering to that fundamental level of like resume, but to much more complex things like interviewing, professional development, office interaction, growth, accepting feedback, and then coaching all the way up through C-suite. We should feel that we have the capability to run profit and loss businesses, and that we are going to offer that type of training because you'll see people that look like you who can invest in your future and take you through that kind of professional development. So I'm really excited about SASE's future, and I'm so happy and can't wait to see everybody in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. No, and I think about, you touched on a couple of things. I just took a note so I can remember to touch on, our students. We talk about generations of students, right? And on average, right, students tend to graduate in about 4 to 5 years, right? And then they become their own professionals, right? And here locally, I do some work with a community college, and it's they become professionals. And I always say, when you are ready, right, when in your professional journey, pay it forward to the next generation, right? Because students are our future. We know that. And it's I will come back to that term heartwarming again, because it is so satisfying to be able to, and Gigi, you can talk about this next. I think about a couple of our collegiate students who have gone, graduated, become professionals, who have actually engaged on our board, who have engaged on staff, and continue to advocate and connect our students together, right? And I mean it's our community, right? And one more thing before I hand it over to you, Gigi, is that I need to ship the gong, right? So at our exhibit fair, right, the gong, right? I'm not sure
Don't
it's
forget
gonna fit
it.
in my car, by the way, but we'll make it work. I need to get it out there. And so on those job offers that students get from the exhibitors, they have the opportunity, and we hear it, to ring the gong, right? And it, and they ring it with pride, right? So Gigi, to protect the guilty, but I know there are a couple of them who have really paid it forward, because since their days as college students.
Yeah, and it's interesting because now that SASE has gone through 17 years and kind of seen generations come back, right? So we have hired recently, a couple years ago, we hired Hun Le, who came out of collegiate. She was a volunteer, and she was our marketing manager for a couple years.
Mhm.
And then just recently, we hired Maisha Ikra, who's on the call, and she's joined our staff and doing a great job learning about marketing and our technology and all of the event ins and outs. And so it's been great to have her join our team. And then most recently, we were able to hire Sudarshan, who was actually, we call him around here Volunteer Zero. So he was the very first volunteer that Tom reached out to and recruited, started the Carnegie Mellon chapter, and now he's on our staff and today at Carnegie Mellon, prepping them for the conference coming up. So yes, we do see it is now like a full moment type of situation. In fact, my daughter is starting a chapter at her school right now. They're finishing up their requirements to become recognized as a chapter. And so I think it's really exciting to see these full circle moments as SACE matures. It is, if we're doing things right and we're a healthy organization, this should be our natural progression. So it's very exciting to see that. And, something that Tom was talking about, and I wanted to talk to folks here on the phone about, is this coming year, we're going to be launching a program for collegiate that we're calling career readiness skills, which are exactly the things Tom was talking about, and those really important factors that are not covered in their collegiate education that students really need to know and understand as they move into the workplace. So the reason this came to being is because our volunteers have come back to us saying, hey, I graduated and I need help because I don't know, do I need a 401k? And does it really matter what they match? And do I need insurance? And, I don't need like this high deductible thing, do I? Or do I, they have all these questions. And so we've thought, if we can develop this career readiness and also life skill program for them, it helps them become more confident and more educated and better prepared to enter the workforce. And I really see this program as another opportunity for professionals to give back. We're going to be looking for volunteers to help with this program, to lead small groups of students, to help do webinars for them in these areas. And all of you being professionals are qualified to help these students because a lot of them just need someone that comes alongside them to build up their confidence and work on their resume, or, hey, can I have a mock interview with you? Sometimes it's really simple stuff that will really launch these young people into their professions. And I think one thing that you'll see at the conference or convention, which is a change, is we have a very shared space this year. So it's a smaller space, different setup than we've had in the past. And so our pro rooms and our collegiate rooms are Some of them are side by side. So all of our attendees are going to be walking the same halls and sharing snack times and things like that. So I really hope that the professionals and the collegiate will be able to have some hallway discussions themselves. And pros can think, oh, what should I tell my younger self, because they're standing right in front of me.
Exactly. Yeah.
And these students, I don't know if the pros realize it, because you guys are learning so much, and I know you're drinking from a fire hose in these training sessions, but hopefully you take a moment to look around, because there are some very wide-eyed college students watching you all walk down the hallways in your logoed company, right, attire, being like, oh, look at all those people that work at Shell or Dow or, RTX or Exelon or what, Boeing. It doesn't matter, right? You've got a logoed shirt on. You've made it in their eyes. And so I hope that our two groups really do find some ways to build each other up and say hello and have some hallway conversations.
Well, and that was intentional, like you kind of touched on, right, this year, to to mix the different breakout rooms between professional and collegiate, right? We had that joint closing session Friday afternoon, and some networking opportunities, right? And so, like I said, that life cycle, maybe that's not the continuum, right? The continuum, yeah, not life cycle, the continuum between being a college student, aspiring to be that professional who's wearing a shell sponsored logo or whatever the case may be, and that speaks to a little bit of the upbringing, right, that we all sometimes enjoy. Sometimes our target moms shove it down our throats, right? But it's I think, especially in your career, and see, especially for our younger professionals who are 0 to 5 years in, is to be able to look through that lens and say, I was once there, right? And I think, like you said, being able, I think we're calling a SASE clip or something or another, right? That life skills development piece to share bits of wisdom and bits of experience and maybe bits of scars that we all face, right? And so we don't walk into those landmines, ourselves, right? And so I think that's really valuable. And in some ways too, with professionals who, maybe you are early career or maybe moving into your 10th year, and aspiring, some people are perfectly happy in their career bands, right, Jim? And some people have aspirations to lead teams, to lead people, right? And they can look up to our executives, who are wandering around as well. And so I think there's opportunities for them to connect that way too, right, Jim?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to realize, like, this is not just attending a conference. This is an investment in yourself. And it's an opportunity for each one of us to see that I'm going to get out more than I get in, and that's the value statement that I'm trying to do with SACE as well. So even as someone that is coming in to be a volunteer, right? Gigi invites all us to be a volunteer. Well, we're providing training for all of our volunteers. It's a new thing, like where it's not just good enough that it was passive, but we're going to be more explicit, and we want to create this ecosystem where we have to demonstrate it to our most valuable assets, which is our own team, the people that are sacrificing in that way. And so, as you come into the conference, we really hope that you'll go all in, right? Like, just don't come in and get a sip of fuel. Like, you really want to fuel your future, get that tank full, and ask questions, be engaged, be involved. We're doing this amazing event also, like on Wednesday night for Pro, that if you come in and you want to have dinner with one of our trainers in advance, then we're going to give you an opportunity to sign up. You'll have like 10 people are going to have slots to go have dinner with a trainer. How cool is that? You got to go eat dinner anyways, right? So after the opening ceremonies, the trainers will be out in the lobby somewhere. You meet with them and you just go find dinner. And it's just really low key, giving you an opportunity to like network. And then again, like how great is that? Like Wednesday was not wasted. Like you're going to benefit from that time that you have as well. So just, I think the biggest message that we want to get is we're going to fuel your fire and you're going to go burn further with every time that you give us.
Yeah, and I think about, like you said, we kind of do a soft cut kickoff, right, with the reception for, Wednesday afternoon. We have our leadership awards, celebration of companies and individuals that really amplify, themselves professionally as well as the work they do for their companies. And then, like you said, we could get the dinner opportunities, but then, Thursday, Friday we got full on, right? And I put a note in there just to talk about, we are pretty much wrapping up our titles, trainers, abstracts, learning outcomes, and our IT team is going to be putting that up on the website probably by next week, as well as populating the mobile app, right? And so um, I think the takeaway for this audience is, check out our STEM Connect events, website, go to the pro link, for professional, and then, scroll down and you'll start being able to see all of those kinds of sessions that are assigned against different career bands. So I'm really excited to, uncover, reveal that, right? And I'll be up at 7 in the morning, right, Thursday, ready to go, right, and ready to kick this thing off for everybody. Um, so again, just really excited about all the things that are coming, and how we're evolving SASE Professional, right, to really address, some of the things we've been hearing from our corporate partners, right, who have leaned in. I mean, like really hard, and so that's really exciting, that they're recognizing these opportunities with SASE, and and then going forward. One of the things when we talk about year-round stuff, right? We've been talking about obviously focused on the STEM Connect, but earlier this year, and I still am doing monthly webinars. We'll pause in October, but the webinars will continue in November, December, and on to next year. Is the year-round training stuff, right? And we've been hearing that very strongly from folks individually as well as from companies that they want to invest more in their professionals. And so, I think that this portfolio of trainers, if you will, who are delivering, some of the stuff that you'll hear about in October, that they'll continue on and dive deeper into their topics and these ways to learn together, right, through next year. So I think the takeaway that I'm sharing here is, be on the lookout for those opportunities, really on the professional side of things, right? Gigi, anything to add with some of the things we've been talking about, our community, our college students, who they growed up, right, and become professionals, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of where we're going in the next few weeks.
Yeah, even in this call, I took away a a learning for myself about the accidental diminishers comment about Jim's seminar. And I think about, I'm I'm in my fourth decade of professional life, and in this hour, I took away what are the accidental diminishers that I have on myself, to in my case, as the founder of a feeding organization to feed the hungry in four states, and I think of the ways that I've diminished myself in talking about a solution that's been working for 5 years. And I'm thinking like, I want to go to this seminar. I want to learn because there are still things that I'm doing that are preventing, again, this ability to feed people. And it's like, no, I want to learn what Jim's going to teach. And these are the things that excite me about what's going to come in Pittsburgh. All of these people looking to support ourselves as individuals and then us collectively. So again, if we keep our minds open, it's going to be yet another fantastic gathering. And then I will just say that there is going to be room for, again, exciting camaraderie. So, like I'm going to bring my Pittsburgh Steelers stuff. We're on a bye week. Yeah, so we will be well on our way to our seventh Super Bowl by the time we gather in Pittsburgh. So I'm just very excited to be in Pittsburgh again. I can give everyone great tips on restaurants and just having a good old time together. I can't wait to see you.
Absolutely. And I echo that, right, Tom? I cannot wait to see you. Please do not be a stranger. Come up, introduce yourself to us, because you can imagine when we're actually executing, a conference like this, we're going to be like chickens, running around all sorts, right? And so please look for us and say hello. In the back of my, pocket, is so excited to also meet our sponsors, our exhibitors, our organization advisory council members, right? And we have some call out meetings with them to really share, what we're doing going into 2026. Gigi, parting thoughts, words?
Yeah, I think my parting thought is just overwhelming gratitude for all of you taking the time to join this call, but to come to STEM Connect, because it may be your company that sponsors you or pays for your ticket, but it's because of your investment of your time and your energy and your talents with SASE that SASE is what it is and is going to become something great. And so I thank you for that. And I hope that you are able to carry away wonderful things from the conference, because it is going to be what you make it. So I hope you come with Tom's zeal for learning. And I think that's one thing that's great about the SACE community universally. When we talk about collegiate, we talk about pro, and we talk about the folks that kind of fall in between. Everybody comes because they want to learn something. Isn't that great? Like a whole community of people who are just there to learn. And I think there is just power in us being together, because you walk away thinking, I'm not alone in this. I might go back to my job, but I have a choice as to what's different on Monday. And so I'm looking forward to seeing all of you. And yes, please grab us, because it's really those little nuggets when we get to touch base with someone that remind us, oh, this is why we do this.
Yes, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
I mean, not only as a professional, but college students who will kind of corner us a little bit too. Looking forward to that, right? And like I said, I was at Raytheon, a few years ago, and I had a college student come up, and we had just great banter and rapport together, and so I still remember that, very fondly. There was an error code 808, 808, Jim, right? So right? Which is Hawaii. And so that student was there. I know in 10 minutes, I haven't been focused on chat, but for those who are here, if there's any question or comment that you want to put into just the chat, or come on camera, come off mute, shout it out to or ask it here within this group, I welcome and invite you. And then as we continue to do that, Jessica will kind of position and throw up in a few minutes our poll, our survey, kind of, just to kind of get some feedback from this audience on this conversation, right? So please come off mic and go on camera, or just chat it in or put it in chat, and we'd be happy to answer any questions or comments you had. I'll also expand my thing here. Okay. Got some great collegiate workshops. I know that some of our sponsors are getting that all teed up. Collegiate panels. On the professional side, we got some keynotes coming up also from our friends over at GE Renova. Again, just I mean, when it's showtime, it's going to be a lot of fun. We're really excited. Elena, you had a question.
Yes. Are you able to listen to me?
Yes, we're fine.
Thank you. What about STEM, I don't know, all over the world, percentage with gender female like me? all around the world? Just to know.
You mean at the convention or historically?
Both. I mean, both.
Hmm. Well, the beautiful thing is, especially over the years I've been able to see our past data, our professional and collegiate breakdown typically is about 70-30, so 70% collegiate tend to come. And then our gender breakdown is actually pretty equal. In other words, parity, nearly 50-50 females, and males are coming to this conference. So it's actually pretty cool. Collegiate GPAs were 3.0 and higher. So amazing talent, right? Coming and seeking opportunities. And then, just in our DNA, we've always been pretty heavy on the various engineering degrees, both on the professional and collegiate side. Computer sciences, that border in AI now. So a lot of those kinds of things are really well represented. Elena, does that help?
And just yes, it makes sense. And thanks for your prompt reply. Which is the percentage of absorbing of this student inside working working environment, and which is the gap between exit by STEM university, college, I don't know, and working environment.
Good question. Thoughts around that, Gigi?
Yeah, it's really interesting. We would love to have more data around how many of our students are placed within our companies. Unfortunately, there's some reasons companies are not able to provide us that data. And it varies from year to year. So sometimes we see companies who come into the conference who have a hiring goal. So we've had very large companies who have come in the past who have walked away with 150, 200 of our students because they have a hiring goal. And then a lot of times they're there to meet the students, do initial interviews, and then they follow up later. Some of them have entrance exams and personality testing that they do as part of their hiring process. So it really depends on the companies who are there, what the mix is, and how many students they hire. We have started to try to capture that in a different way, which is part of ringing the gong. The students also get to kind of log in and write down if they got an offer. So it's usually, a few hundred kids are able to secure positions at the conference, and then a few hundred more in the months that follow the convention after they do their follow-up interviews and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and then one thing I just wanted to mention as a resource to you too, we were asking about women in STEM, and I highly, highly recommend our Women's Leadership Conference in the spring. Like so many just wonderful women all gathered together, learning about and sharing, those types of issues that are really particular to women, right? And what we deal with and balancing our work life and our family and all of that.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Elena. Akash from WabTech, one of our sponsors, who really well engaged. In fact, they're doing a collegiate workshop for us this year. Why don't you come off mute? And, any comments, feedback?
Very glad that we arranged this kind of a webinar this time to prep towards the conference. I was in and out. Some critical work meetings came up in between. So sorry if I'm repeating something that you already mentioned, but the email that was sent out for the workshops details, it links to the web page, but it doesn't have the list of workshops. And also I was gonna ask, at what point would we be able to start registering?
Yes. Yes, so those workshops for professional track, career, mid, senior, right? All those should go up next week. And so you should get a communication about, hey, well, go to stemconnect.events also, right? Because that'll be all listed there, as well as our mobile app. So people can start looking through those review or abstracts and learning outcomes, and then save a seat, right? Kind of in the mobile app.
You got it. Got it. Just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss any email or something.
Yeah, it's coming.
It's coming next week. Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
Really excited.
Yeah. Yeah, we are also really excited. We have figured out our collegiate workshop title and content. So looking forward to connecting with students also over there.
Absolutely. Thanks, Akash.
Yeah, one thing I just want to mention, Clarence, I know we are coming right up on time, is that if you could please make sure your colleagues know to book their hotel rooms, because our guaranteed lock-in rates are really low and they expire the 9th. So
Tuesday, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we could use your help in getting the word out to make sure people have secured those room rates, because they will go up. For sure, those rates will go up on Wednesday when they're released back to the hotel.
Great. Thanks for the mention, Gigi.
Yep.
Did you say September 9th is the deadline?
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
sure is.
Yep.
Thanks for reminding.
Jessica, just in the time remaining, folks, if you could go ahead and put the poll up or the survey, thank you. There are, I think, 3 questions, so please scroll down towards the end before you submit. And it just, it's for us to learn, and like I said, I always appreciate it and really enjoy, sharing a little bit about, the SASE story, our passions, why we continue to do this. You've heard some nuggets on that. You heard from Tom and Jim and Gigi about, what drives them. Tom, how many years have you been affiliated? Well, what, 17 years now or something, right?
17. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely amazing. So, I'm so proud. And like you said, moving into the next decade in a couple of years, right? And we will continue to grow, right? It's just a delight to be a part of SASE fam, right? And so I thank you also, members of this audience, as you fill out the survey. I thank you for being part of SASE fam and being part of our community. I look forward to seeing, on behalf of Squad, our staff, now I look forward to seeing you at the conference. I know various board members will be there as well. And so it's just going to be another year of a ton of fun, right? And so really looking, Tom is finishing his 8 years. Sorry. So thank you again. Please fill it out and we'll go ahead and wrap this up. This is recorded. So for those who and colleagues who are not able to join us today, please go back to the webinars page. There'll be a playback link probably by mid next week. And so feel free to share this out. And again, any questions that you have, please feel free to direct them to me. I'll be your point of contact with any logistical things that you may have on behalf of your registration or your company. Okay, so thank you for that. Now it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Yeah, now.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you, Tim, for putting my email in there as well. All right, we'll close this up in a minute or so.